Today's lesson, we're going to look at 11.3, solving linear systems by adding or subtracting. Today's lesson is going to be much easier than solving by substitution. The goal of this lesson is to eliminate opposite variables and solve. Here are some examples of opposite variables. Okay, so same coefficient, same variable, but the signs are opposite. So a 5x and a negative 5x are opposite variables. Negative x, positive x are opposite variables. 10y, negative 10y, opposite variables. Okay. Not opposites are if they have the exact same signs, okay, or their coefficients are different. Okay, so these are not opposite numbers. This is our goal, is to get those opposite variables. The elimination method is used to solve systems of equations in which you have one variable being eliminated by adding or subtracting two equations in the system. So step one, you're going to add or subtract the equations so that we can eliminate one of the variables, and then solve. Then we're going to substitute that value into either one of the original equations. And then we'll write the ordered pair for our final answer. Let's take a look at the first example. In example 1, solving using elimination, I've already given us opposites. This makes the problem much quicker to solve. So if I look, I can see that the y's are opposite numbers. And so because of that, I can go ahead and just eliminate, or I can just add the two numbers. A negative 6y plus a 6y are going to add up to be 0, so they eliminate. Let's see what we have left. An 8x minus 2x is 6x. A 36 plus a 0 is 36. And now we can solve for the x. 6 times what number is 36? Or, if you can't do the computation in your head, divide both sides by 6. And you get that the x value is going to be 6. Since we have the x value, we now need to figure out what the y value is. So to figure out my y value, I'm going to take my answer and plug it back into either one of these original equations. I personally will always plug into this first equation, but you don't have to. If you want to use the second equation because the numbers are smaller, then fine. So now that I know what my x is, I'm going to take this and substitute it into the x on the first equation. So I'm going to say 8 times 6 minus 6y equals 36. And then I'm going to start solving. So here I have 48 minus 6y equals 36. And then I'm going to subtract the 48 over. Okay, so that way these cancel out, and we have negative 6y equals 36 minus 48 is negative 12. And negative 6 times what number is negative 12? Or if you can't do that, divide both sides by negative 6. And I get that the y answer is positive 2. Now, the only other thing that you need to remember is that you're going to write your final answer as an ordered pair. So final answer, our x coordinate always comes first. So our final answer is going to be 6, then the y, 2. This would be the point that's a solution to both of the equations. Okay, let's look at the next example. Okay, so same thing. This one, the Opposites are given. So if I look, I have a negative 4y and a positive 4y. So since I have my opposites, then I can go ahead and just eliminate them or add them up. So they're going to add up to be a 0. 2x plus 3x gives me 5x. Negative 10 plus 5 is negative 5. 5 times what number is negative 5? Negative 1. Since I have the x, I now need to figure out what the y coordinate is. So I'm going to take my answer and I'm going to substitute it in to either one of these equations. So I'm going to take this x, and again, I'm just going to go ahead and sub it into the x on the first equation. So I have 2 times negative 1 minus the 4y equals negative 10, and solve. So this gives me negative 2 minus 4y equals the negative 10. Add your 2 over. Whoa, what's rough there. Okay, and so now I have negative 4y equals negative 10 plus a 2 is negative 8. Negative 4 times what number is negative 8? That's 2. If you don't know that answer, divide both sides by the negative 4. And then final answer is written as an ordered pair. So our x coordinate was negative 1 and our y coordinate was 2. Now let's take a look when they don't give us the opposite numbers. Okay, so the opposites are not given on this example, but they're almost opposites. If I look at the y's are almost opposite numbers, except I want one of them to be a positive. So if I want to make one of the rows have a positive 3y, then I need to multiply that row, either one of these rows, by a negative 1. So I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to multiply this bottom row by a negative 1. So I think it's helpful to rewrite the first equation. So we have the 6x minus the 3y equals the 15. And then our second equation, we're going to multiply the negative 1 through. So that's going to give me negative 4x. That's going to give me a positive 3y. Make sure you distribute all the way to that last term. Negative 1 times negative 5 is 5. And so now I can see that we have our opposites. So now I can start eliminating. Okay. These are going to cancel out. 6x minus 4x gives me 2x. 15 and a 5 gives me 20. 2 times what number is 20? 10. So now that I have my x value, we need to figure out what our y value is. So I'm going to take this and plug it into either one of the original equations. Again, I'm just going to go with the first one. So here I get 6x. Oops, I said I was going to plug it in. Forgot to do that. So my x is the 10. We're going to say minus the 3y equals 15. Well, 6 times 10 is 60. So I get 60 minus 3y equals 15. I'm going to subtract the 60 over. And I get negative 3y equals negative 45. Inverse of multiplication is division. So I get the y completely by itself, and the y is going to equal 15. So again, final answer needs to be written as an ordered pair. So our x was 10, and our y was 15. One more example. Let's look at this one. Again, the opposites are not given. I have a 2x and a 2x, and I want one of them to have a negative 2x. which means I'm going to need to multiply one of the rows by a negative number. Okay, so I'm going to say, let's again, like just multiply this row by a -1. So first equation, we're going to leave as is. So we're going to say 2x plus 6y equals 6. Second row, we're going to multiply that -1 through. So -1 times 2x gives me the -2x. -1 times a -y gives me a +1y. Don't forget to distribute to the last term. -1 times -8 is 8. So now I can see that we've got our opposites right here. So now we can start eliminating them. Canceling that out to 0. 6y and another y gives me 7y. 8 plus 6 is 14. And 7 times what number is 14? 2. Okay, so now on this one I gotta be careful because now I gotta plug this into the y. And then we're gonna start solving. So we've got the 2x plus 6 of the y's, but this time we're going to plug in that the y is 2, and that has to equal 6. So I have 2x plus 12 equals 6. Subtract the 12 over, and I get 2 times what number is -6? And that answer is -3. Final answer, write it as an ordered pair, -3, 2. And that concludes our lesson.